people have spent the last decade collecting artifacts and other documents, trying to piece together the hidden history of the Underground Railroad in Niagara Falls. Now they're ready to bring it to life. News 4's Brittany Smallwood shows us some of the stories they've uncovered.
The Cataract House Hotel was the center of Underground Railroad activism in Niagara Falls. Southern families who owned slaves would often stay there, and waiters would serve the patrons.
First of all, as very good waiters. These guys were very polished.
The waiters also helped slaves escape to freedom in Canada.
I like to think that beneath their starched white shirts, underneath their neatly pressed tuxedos, perhaps painted on their chests, were big letter A's that stood for abolitionists.
Over time, these men put their lives on the line and helped so many escape. In 1853, one of the waiters, Patrick Sneed, needed help himself. Slave catchers had this document falsely accusing him of murder. It was their way of getting him to return to the South. But his fellow waiters wouldn't give him up without a fight.
Here you have an example of the waiters actually pulling Sneed back into the Cataract House as slave catchers were grabbing his other arm and trying to forcibly bring him into arrest on a false charge.
Abolitionists also helped slaves get to freedom using the ferry landing. People would climb down a ladder to the base of the American Falls, then take a ferry to Canada.
John Morrison, the head waiter at the Cataract House, personally escorted a number of people. He rowed them across himself.
After word got out about the people helping slaves, former President Millard Fillmore signed the Fugitive Slave Act in 1850. It prohibited anyone from helping slaves get to freedom. Anyone who did would have been fined or put in prison.
And as a result of the signing of the Fugitive Slave Act, the pressure and the stress here in Western New York was tremendous, because it began to attract slave catchers who knew that there would be gatherings at the border crossings.
But that didn't stop people like Harriet Tubman. She would often take slaves across the suspension bridge to Canada. These are the remnants of it today.
In her autobiography to Sarah Bradford, she recalled the story of her bringing Joe Bailey and others up through the suspension bridge. But when they got to the other side, he was so excited he jumped off of the train because he made it to freedom.
These stories and so many more will be told at the Niagara Falls Underground Railroad Heritage Center. The goal is to reconnect locals with their history and connect with world travelers who visit the site.
This is a universal message about the passion that we as human beings have for the simple opportunity to live with liberty and justice.
Reporting, Brittany Smallwood, News 4.
The Niagara Falls Underground Railroad Heritage Commission teamed up with the state to commemorate an important part of the Underground Railroad. They did it by placing an historic marker at the former site of the Cataract House. It was a hotel from 1825 to 1945, and all of the wait staff there were African Americans, and many led double lives, helping the slaves of their guests at the Cataract House to escape to Canada.
Whenever you're talking about the history of this country, you have to talk about the good, the bad, as well as the ugly. And it's important that this story is told authentically to our children so that they are empowered with the ability to make maybe better choices than some of the people who came before them.
Well, that marker is located at Heritage Park if you'd like to check it out.
Not only here in the city of Niagara Falls and Western New York, but in the entire nation. And that's something that we should be proud of and celebrate, because these are stories of everyday people who aided freedom seekers to get to the Canadian side, and that only happened here. Central to that network was the wait staff here at the Cataract House, who were all African American men, led by John Morrison, who's the head waiter at that time, of the suspension bridge also that took place here in Niagara Falls. I mention that because he was awarded that cane, which was a symbol of not only wisdom and power, but also of authority.
I echo Marge's sentiments. Niagara Falls has played an important role in history, and it's little known. So this, I hope, is a continuation of markers, murals that will tell our story not only to residents and locals, but nationwide, in fact, internationally.
This surrounds the idea of freedom in terms of Emancipation Day. Today, African Americans here in the city of Niagara Falls still celebrate.
Is that us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Sarah.
Step up in front of me.
No, sorry.
Mr. Walker,
Charles Walker. Charles.
please join us. So traditionally, as a part of my culture, before I speak as a young man, we traditionally ask the permission. Thank you.